So the members who are joined online, any questions or anything that you want to bring it up? So that way we can take the questions. If no questions, then we can go further. So we are booting our system. Yes, so we are there. So we'll log in with the username. Root username and password, whatever the password we have. Why we want to log in? We want to check the IP address. So I say IPDDR show. So now what is our IP? 192.168.0.9. So what we will do? We will use the putty to log into this system. So 192.168.0.9, right? That is what is our IP address. Yes. 9 open connection. So it will say that, okay, go along with that. And which user we have created? DevOps. Okay. And we'll go with that. Okay, so we are logged in to the system there. Good. So I'll clear the screen. Okay, so what I will do, I will move these unnecessary things out and we'll bring it back. The necessary things. Okay, so we were talking about let me go with that. So we are talking about the Git, and we need to understand what is the Git and so on. So let's go one by one. Let's try to understand what is the Git and so on. So what platform Git is supported? Okay, on which platform you can use the Git? So you can work Git on Windows. You can go for Linux. You can go for Solaris. Okay, and you can go for Mac. So for all these platforms, what you can do, you can have the Git installed and it will work exactly the same. It will work exactly the same. Whatever it is working in the Windows, exactly it will work same to be a Linux part. So what we'll do, we'll see and we'll say how to download a Git in a system. So we will go one by one and step. We will go to the site. I'll say download Git, and we'll go to this site. What is the site name? git-scm.com downloads. Now this is the official site of the Git. Using this, you will download. You can see that Mac, Windows, Linux, Solaris. These all things are supported here. So if you want to work with the latest and greatest version, you can go and download with this site. But if you are working on Linux, you don't have to go on this site. You can directly install from your system. So let's go with that. So here is the URL. You can go with that. Now, how to install Git under Linux? So looks like there is one question from online. Let's go and see that. What is the question? Not able to see the notepad. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Let me know now if you are able to see that. Now able to see? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, so we are saying what platform Git is supported is the Windows, Linux, Solaris, and Mac. How we can download? So we can download it from the site, and the site is here. This is the official site of the Git, and you'll able to download the Git from here, or you can download the Git from the Linux machine. For that, you need to enable the EPEL repo. This is the extra packages for enterprise Linux. So we already talked about that. How to get that? yum-y install EPEL release. So make sure that you have this installed first. Then you will install Git. Install Git. So how will you do that? You will go and you'll say yum install git. So what it will do, it will go to the internet, it will search the internet, it will get the git and it will install. Then how to confirm? You will say git hyphen hyphen version. So you'll bring the version and you will check the version, that what is my current version. You can check the version there. Okay. So this is how you will go and install the Git in Linux or in CentOS or RHEL. Okay. So let's do it one by one. If you are written down, I can go to the next step. I'll show you online what we can do. So I'll say check it sudo yum install EPEL release. First, I will go with that, and I will try to get to the internet and try to install. So automatically it will go to the internet. It will search the EPEL repository. If it is already updated, it will say already updated, and it will go. If it is having some problem, automatically it will do the failover, and it will work with that. So you don't have to worry about. Everything will happen automatically, and it will keep on working. So there are nearly 5,000 different mirrors available. So any one is okay for us. It will automatically go and check the details and get the details there. So today it looks like we have good connection, internet connections. 1 Mbps, we are able to get clean, 115, 113 something. So it is nearby that boundary. 1 Mbps network connections we have available for us to work. Right? So while it's download, give me a second, I'll just back. I'm back. So here we are updating, and you see that it has upgraded to something new. From 9 to 10 it has gone there. Okay, so it has updated now. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to get the git. So I'll say, hey, go and install git. So 1, 2 and 3. So automatically it should go to the internet, and automatically it should download the necessary things. Now git is heavily depend on the Perl. You can see that a lot of Perl's modules are getting downloaded. Perl error, Perl git, Perl this, Perl that, and so on. So it will download all the necessary items, depends the items, and you will able to get the things there. So here is the installation happening. Now let it go. It is happening. It is downloading the necessary items. So we will wait for some 20 seconds or something odd seconds. So it is downloading. So the network speed will reduce the and make the time difference. Sometimes it says 30 seconds, sometimes it says 49 seconds. It's growing up, growing up, growing up, right? So we have now reduced the speed 32 kbps per second. So it's not good speed. We need to nearly 100 plus speed. Then only it is good that we can work with that. Okay, so looks like we are very near. Okay, so download is complete. Now it is installing the Git and the necessary dependencies. Okay, verifying, good. Now we are having the Git. So I'll say Git -- version. If I go with that, it says you are now having 1.8.3.1 version of the Git. Okay, this is now how you install the Git. Very simple, very straightforward. So we'll go with that. We'll check the version. Now, how to configure Git for your work. So you have to customize the Git. You have to configure the Git for your work there. So I will customize. Now, don't write at this moment. First see that and then write it. So we have three different configurations. One is the system level configuration, one is the user level configuration, and one is the project level configuration. Okay. Now these three different configurations have three different purpose. Let's say you want to set a configuration for all users. So you'll go with the system level configuration. If you want to have configuration for yourself, then you will go with the user level configuration. But if you want to work with the project and you have to have the configuration for all users which are contributing in that project, you will go for project level configuration. So 99% of the time you will use the user level configuration, and 1 or 2% you will use a project level configuration. Very rare case that you will use the system level configuration, but the provision is made there. You should know what is happening there. That's why we are going with that. Now the system level configuration is stored in the one file which is called as git config. So this is the file for the system level. There is a file which is called as a /home/username /.git config. This is the configuration file, but at user level. You have the project level file. You can go here and you can say, okay, my project directory and / and then you'll say .git, and then you will have the config file. So this is the project level configuration file. Now for three levels, you have three different configuration files. So you need to understand. Now, either you can open this file in the VI editor and you can edit this file, or Git has given file. So whichever method you are convenient with that. So we will go with the command line. So as you are starting, you should know what to do. That's why we are going with the command line. So I'll say git config -- system, and then I will give some parameters. So it will go, and in that file, it is a git config. If I go with the user level, I say git config -- global. Now they are not using user, but they are using global word. And for the project level, you will say git config and the configuration. They will not say any -- something. They'll directly go into the configuration file. So now please write this down. Okay. So you have system level, you have user level, and you have project level configuration. You will be able to work with that. You can sit here rather than. Okay. So the members who join late, what we are doing, we are working with the Git, and we are saying what are the platform it's supported, from where you can download the Git, how to install the Git, and now we are in the section that how to configure Git for your work. So there are three different levels of configuration. One is the system level, another is the user level, and third is the project level. So you are going with the system level with the etc git config, and the command is git config -- system. If you go for the user, the configuration file is in the home directory, and you will go with the git config -- global. And if you are in the project, you will go with the git config without any hyphen. So you can directly go and fit into the configuration. Now 95, 90, 99% time you use. So most of the time you will use this. You will use this. Okay. Most of the time you will use this configuration. Okay. So done writing. Shall we go next? Okay. So now we will do the configuration. So we will go with the user level configuration. So I'll say git config -- global. I'll set my name. So I'll say user name. I'll put that. Now in which file it will go? So it is going to user level configuration, right? So it's a user level configuration. So it will go to the user configuration. I'll say git config -- global. I'll set my email address. So user email. So I'll say info@mycompany.com. Then I'll go with another thing. I will say global. I'll say core editor. Now I'll say my preferred editor is Vim editor. So I'll go with the Vim editor. So you are setting your preferences. What you're doing now, you are setting your preferences. What is your username, email address, core editor. So these are the preferences. You are mentioning that. Now these are not credentials. These are not for authentication information. This is just to make sure that you are showing your identity, that by what user you are going to work with the Git. Okay, so this is just to show the identity. This is not for username and password. There is no username password here at this moment. Okay, and then we'll go with the git config -- global. So I'll say color.ui. That means user interface color. I will say make it true. So what I'm saying, show me some colorful information. That means if something is not correct, show me in red color. Something is okay, good, show me in green color. Something is not having the right appropriate, show me in blue color or something like that, right? So show me the difference with the color. Otherwise, everything will look like a black and white. Then there is a problem because we are not able to understand. Is it a correct? What is the status and so on, right? We'll go with that. Now, all these parameters will go in which file? In the user level configuration file. Okay. Now, how to see this parameter? I can say git config -- list. You can also see the parameters or list of whatever the defined parameters. Now, this list will give all the parameters: system level, user level, project level. It will show all the parameters with you. Okay. Whatever the preferences you are given, you are going with that. So ready, steady, go. Shall we see the practical? Written down. Okay, so let's go and see that now. So we will see that here. So I'll say git config -- list. What is the configuration currently available? Nothing. Where is my configuration file? Home, DevOps user, and .git config. Is the file present? No, the file is not present. It says no such file or directory. Now I'll start setting my preferences. Let's go and see that. I'll say git config global username. I will put my name. You should put your name there. Okay, don't put my name there. You should put your name. Okay. Now if I say that git config list, now you see that it is saying you have set one parameter. Now where is this parameter? It is in this configuration file. You see now the file is available. Now how to see the file contain? Let's say cat. Let's say cat, and here we go. So you see that it has created a section called as a user, and it has put the name as a my name there. So that command has created this file and it has put the information in the appropriate format. So that is did by that command there. Clear? So let's go further. Now we'll add another information. What is the information you want? Email. So I'll say info@my.com. Okay, enter. Now again, I will go and see the list. Now you see that there are two parameters. If I say cat, I see that there are two parameters under user section. Now I'll go and say git config --- global, then core editor editor, that's correct, yeah, /user/bin/bin. Now you can put your editor. Editor can be anything. In Windows you have editor, Notepad, WordPad, Notepad++, something. In Linux you have Pico, Nano, VI, Vim. My preferred it is Vim, so I'm putting that Vim editor. So if I go again, see the list, I can see that the editor, core editor. But if I go in the configuration file, it has created another section which is called as a core section, which is the editor section. Okay. So for every section, it will go with a different thing. This is like an INI file type. Okay. Now last thing I will set. What is that? Color, user interface color, true. I'll go with that. I'll say list. I have seen that. I'll see the file. I have seen the. Now these are the things which we set as our preference. Hey, these are my preferences, how I want to work with the Git. If you have not set this, Git will not work properly. It will complain you again and again. What is your username? What is your email? And so on. First two are mandatory. Second two are optional. Okay, so first two are mandatory. Second two are optional. So we are going with that. Okay. Now, when you are working with the Git, you'll always work with the project directory. So now we are working with the batch 14. So we'll create our batch 14 directory as a project directory. Now, every file which we are going to learn from today onwards will be in that folder. So if it is a shell scripting, all the files in the Git. If it is a Vagrant, all the files in the Git. If it is a Docker, Chef, Ansible, Jenkins, or whatever. All the configuration files will be under revision control system. And real time, you will do the same thing. In real time also, you will do the same thing. You will put all your files under revision control system, that is a Git. So let's create a directory, mkdir, project directory, which is a DevOps batch. Okay. So we have created, I will go to the directory DevOps batch 14. Now I have landed in that directory. What we will do? Create a project directory and work under it. So when you join the organization and you want to create a new repository, you have to follow the steps. Or I can say procedure to create new repository. Same thing, same question. Procedure to create new repository. Both are the same. Create a project and work under it, or procedure to create. So what do you say? mkdir, the project directory DevOps batch 14. Then I say cd DevOps batch 14, and I'll go with that. Okay. Now this directory is empty. There is nothing in that directory. If I go with there, nothing is there. I say show me all files, even hidden files. So I'll go with that, and you'll be able to see that there is something dot and double dot. Now let's understand what is the dot and double dot. So that single dot means it is a current directory. What is that? It is a current directory, and double dot is the parent directory. So if I say pwd present working directory, so what is my current directory? DevOps is my current directory. DevOps 14 is my current directory. What is my parent directory? DevOps. What is the parent of parent directory? Home. And what is the home's parent directory? Root. So that is a slash. Okay, so this is how indication. Let's say I want to go to the root. So I'll say cd dot, and I will go to the root directory. 3 directories back, 2 directories back, or something like that. I want to go to the current directory. How I'll go? cd dot. Of course, I am in the current directory. There is no use of this command because already I am in that directory, but I can do that. I can say cd, still I will be in the same directory. But if I say cd space dot, I will go directly back. Now, which directory we are? DevOps. If I say cd dot dot, which directory we are? Home. Cd dot dot, which directory we are? Root directory. I'm not sure you are able to see that. Okay. So maybe now you are able to see corners are getting cut. So let me bring inside. Okay. Now what is your parent directory? What is your current directory? Root. Now if I say cd dot dot, what happens? Suppose you are on the C drive and you want to go below C drive. Can you go below C drive? So that is what is the end. So that is the end. Okay, if I even though I give CD, I will be in the same directory. Directory will not change. So it's like a going to the CD drive. So slash means what? It is like a C drive. So imagine that if you are in Windows, you will say C drive. And imagine that if you are in Linux, you will say slash. That's all. Okay. So instead of C drive, you'll say slash and you'll go there. Okay. Now again, I will go to the my project directory. So how to go? CD slash home. First go to the home directory. Then which directory? DevOps directory. Then which directory? DevOps. So go step by step. 1, 2, 3. Now I can directly jump into that directory. Okay. Let's say PWD. What is that? This clear? Okay. Now this is clear. What is the double dot and dot? Okay, so let's write it down. So note, what is that? Dot is indicates what? Current directory. Double dot indicates what? Parent directory. Simple. Now you will say really, and what is happen in Windows? So let's go into Windows. Okay, so if I say dir and the more, you see that again there is a dot and double dot. Even Windows will have that, but it will never tell you that it is there because you never go to the command line. You will just go on the click, 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 click. You'll never see that dot and double dot. So you have that dot and double dot even in Windows also. Okay, so Windows or not is like a exception there. Okay, you understood now. What is that? Is clear? Okay. Now important. Any file or a directory starting with dot is a hidden file or directory. That you need to understand. In Linux, what is that? Any file which is starting with a dot is a hidden file or directory. So somebody say create a hidden file. What do you do? Just create a file name with starting with dot. That's all. But in Windows, how will you make that? So you'll open the file. Okay, let's open some picture. Now I want to make that a picture. Let's say I want to make this hidden. What I will do? I will say right click, properties, and hidden. Same thing. What you're doing is the same thing here also. But you're going with a nice GUI. Okay, go here, go here, go here. 100 screen you will pass on. Here directly you can say, hey, create the file, go down, done. Is clear? Okay. Now, our directory is an empty directory. That means there is nothing inside that directory except this dot and double dot. Now, dot and double dot we have not created. System will automatically create those files. So those two files are system generated. Okay. So these are not generated by us. So it is system generated files. Okay. So let's go with the git back to the git. Now in the git, currently the directory is empty. So what we will do, we will initialize the directory. That means we will create an empty structure. What will create? Empty structure. So how to initialize a git structure, empty structure? So you'll give the command git init. So what it will do? It will create a folder or a directory, name is .git. And all information will be stored under .git. All the structure information will store under .git. Okay, so how to initialize? Initialize is very simple. Just say git space init, and it will create a folder directory called as a .git, and all information will be stored under that. Okay, so ready, steady, go. Let's initialize. Now this procedure you will follow to create a new repository. Always, whenever you have to create a new repository, you will say git init. Okay, so you will initialize the repository. But if the repository is already available, then you will not use this command. You will see the command in the later chapters that how we'll work with that. Okay, you will see the command in later sessions that how we can work with that. Okay. Okay, so let's go and get and create the structure. So I'll clear the screen. I'll say ls-l, sorry, LA. Now you have only two things. So I'll say git init. Ready, steady, go. 1, 2, and 3. So what it says, initialize empty git repository in the blah 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 stuff that home directory and dot git. So if I say again ls-la, you can see that dot git folder is there, right? Now, even though it says empty structure, okay, empty repository, that folder is not empty. It has a structure. Now, let's see what is the structure. Let's say tree and show me the structure. Now, it says something different. What is saying? Tree, command not found. What is that meaning? There are two meanings. Either we have not correct command, and if we have typed the correct command, then what we have to do? Install the package, because that command is not available. So we have typed the correct command. So tree. So we'll install the tree. Okay. Go ahead, install the tree. So it should show me the beautiful structure, tree structure. That means the structure of folder and files and these and that. Okay, so gone, done. So I have installed the tree. Now this tree doesn't have any relation with the git. Okay, so that is a separate command. And why we have installed? We have installed to see the structure. Okay, so I'll say tree. Hey, show me the tree structure. Ready, steady, go. Okay, now you see that there is a beautiful structure available here. So let me make it up big. So you'll see the complete structure. Okay, so are you able to see the structure? Yes. You see that? So inside that there are branches, there are configuration file, description, header, hooks, sample files, and info and list. That a lot of things are there. There are 9 directories and 13 files in that structure. Okay. Now we say this is the empty structure. Now let's say you are creating a building. Let's say building is get created. So what is the structure? The pillars and the beams is the structure. Right? The pillars and the beam is the structure. Nothing is there. No single BHK, no 2 BHK, no 5 BHK. Later on, you can go and create whatever information you want, or whatever BHK, 5 BHK, 10 BHK, no problem. But initially, it will only the structure. What is that? Pillars and beams. That's all. So this is like a creating pillars and beams. Now let's understand what is that pillars and beams. So let's go and see that. So now it has created a beautiful structure here. So I'll write it down, the structure here. We will go with that. And the structure has good things here. Okay, so, okay, I'll remove this diagram. Give me a second. I'll put a different type of diagram. Okay, here we have, I'll put here, and then I'll again go with that, one more box. So don't write it down. I will tell, then only draw the diagram, because this is the important diagram. This is the diagram we will refer again and again. So we're going to refer again and again. So don't draw it right now. Now don't worry about the size and shape of the boxes, because it doesn't matter here. Okay. So what is that? Currently is a working directory, or we will say this is your project directory. Okay. So whenever you are going to work with the Git, you should be always in the project directory. Now it has also created a structure called as a stage or cache area, which is hidden inside the .git directory. So where is that cache and stage area? It is in the .git directory. It has also created one more area which is called as a local repository, which is also inside the .git directory. So this is the structure it has created. When I say git init, you will have all this structure. You will have all of this structure. This is clear? What is that structure? When I say git init, in my project directory, it has created this structure. Okay. Now, rule of thumb, what is that? You should be always in the project directory when you are working with the git. Okay. Now, what is our target? Let's understand. We will create some files in the working directory. Then we will save the version of the file in the local repository. Any file we create on the working directory, the same we are going to store in the local repository. Now there is a process of copying this file from working directory to the local repository. So the first command that you will go, you will say that add. The command is add. Now what is that add means? Add means copy the file from working directory to the staging directory. What is that add means? Add is a copying the file from working to staging. Another is you'll also copy the file from staging directory to the repository and they say commit. What is the command you'll use? Commit. And to understand where is my file, either is in staging or local repository, I will use the command called as status. Where is the file? Okay, it is in the working directory. It is in the staging area. It is in the final. Okay. So now this structure. So please draw this diagram and write it down. So this has created the structure. Okay. So from copying from working directory to staging, we say add, and copying from staging to local repository, we say commit. And to check the status of the file, where is that file? What is the status? Use the command status. Okay, so done writing. So ready, steady, go. Okay, done writing. Here we go. So I'll go back to our normal screen and I'll say, okay, see that. Okay, now let's do one thing. I'll say, let's have an LA. What is there we have? Only the .git directory. Now any file, any change will happen, it will happen inside the .git. But we have the original file with us in the working directory. I will create via my first git file .text. I can give any name. I'm just giving my first file, something. Okay, so I'll say this is my first file with Git. I'll save that. So now we have created the file. Now, if I say Git status, so we will see something. What is the color? Red color. That means whatever the file is in my working directory is not matching with my local repository. Of course, it will not match. Why? Because we have not copied the file to the local repository. So let's start copying that file. So what is the command? So I'll say git add and the file name. So it will copy the file to the which area? Staging area. So I'll say git status. What is the color? You see that? If you don't have enable the color, you'll not see the color. That's why we say color UI true, right? If we have in the configuration, right? Git config. You see that the color UI, this is the UI color true. That is why we are able to see. Now we can see the other parameters also. Oh, you have something more there. Why? Because now created the project, and the project has something good there. Okay. So again, we'll go with that. Git status. What is the color? Green color, right? Now let's go and copy the file to the local repository. So I'll say git commit -m. Now I'll give some comment. What? Added file my first git file dot text. So you have to give some relevant comment. Don't give anything there. Just give a relevant comment. What you did? I'm adding the new file. Okay, go with that. Now it says one file change plus minus something. Now I will go with the again with the status. Get status. Now what is the status? Nothing to commit. Sorry, nothing to commit. Working directory is clean. What does that mean by clean? If I say ls-la, I have that my first file.txt. But if I say status, it shows clean. What does that mean by clean? Clean means whatever files in the working directory or project directory are exactly matching with the local repository. That is meant by the clean. That is meant by the clean. Is clear? Now we have created one file. We have the first line, and that's why we have the first commit. This is our first version of that file. That is our first version. Now I will change the file. Again, I will say vi my first file. Now I will say this is a second line I am adding. So again, I will say git status. What is the status again? What is the color? Now why is the color red? Whatever is in the working directory is not matching with the local repository. So let's match it. So I'll say git add my file, and then git commit -m added second line. That's all. Now I added second line. So what it says? One change, one file change, something insertion. If I say git status again, clean. Now whatever the file we have said, it is now in the repository. Let's do one more time. Okay, my first file. I say this is my third line in the file. Very good. I'll say git add. Now, always you are saying git add and commit, git add and commit, git add and commit. Right? 2 times you have to do. But if you have the file already committed at any in the history, you can do a shortcut. You can say git commit -am. That means add a file and commit the file, both in the one command. I'll say added third line. So directly it will add the file with the 2 steps. First it will add automatically, it will commit automatically. So in the one command, you can go both the things. But what is the rule? The rule is that the file should be already exist in the, or the any previous history should be there inside the Git. If you go for the brand new file, it will not going to work. It is only going to work if you have some other versions of the file in the clear. Let's say 1, 2, and 3. So again it says, now how many versions we have created? Where is that 3 version? So how to see the version information? So we'll say git log. What is the command? Git log. Now it will give me the beautiful information. So in this information, latest commit information will be at the top, oldest will be at the bottom. So what is the latest? What we have done? Added line 3, then added second line, and added my first file. Okay. Now we have said version 1, version 2, version 3, right? We have 3 versions. But what is my version number? Basically, this commit number is your version number. What is that? That you see that number, something, something, something. That number is your commit number. Now, why it is so? Because there are 10 members are here. Everybody says V1, version 1, version 2, version 3, version 1, version 2, version 3. When we are combining the file, what will happen? Everybody is saying my version is version 1. Then there is a problem. So Git says, no, no, no. You should not give the version number. We will automatically generate that number, which is the commit number, which is the version number. So let's understand what is that version number. So what is my version number? So you have to say git log. What command you have to say? Git log. And this will be your version number. This will be your version. What is that? This is a commit value. Now this is a very, very important number. What is that? Let's understand what is the characteristics of that number. It is a 40 character long. It will always, how many long? How many characters? 40 characters long. Okay, it is a hexadecimal number. That means it will have the number from 0 to 9 and A to F. You will not have any other character after that. Only A to F or 0 to 9. Not write Z character or not any other character. From 0 to 9, A to F. That is called as a hexadecimal number. Then it is a SHA-1 number. That means it is generated with program SHA-1. There is a program which will generate this number. Okay. This is a unique number. So there is no duplicate number in the entire project. Your project will have one number, unique number, and it is a random number. So this is the characteristics of your commit number. So it's a 40 character long, hexadecimal, SHA-1, unique, and random. Okay. Now using this number, you will play around with that. So we will go and play around with that number now. So done writing? Okay, so let's go and play around with the number. Let's say I want to know the difference between first version and the second version. So I'll use that. I'll say git diff, and then I'll give that number, and then I'll say dot dot, and then I'll go for the second number. I'll go with that number. So show me the difference between these two numbers, 1, 2, and 3. So what it says? So it says that the difference is plus. What is the plus? Plus is the difference. What is the difference? Plus is the difference. That means this line got added in the second version. This line got added in the second version. First version, it was having only one line. Which line? This is my first line, first file, right? But in the second version, we have added the second line. Let's do that again. I will say git log. And I want now the difference between first and third. So what I'll say, git diff. I'll say this number dot dot the third number. What is the difference? 2 line difference is there. That's why you can see plus 2 lines, right? So any line got removed? No. Now let's do something interesting. So I'll say vi my file. Now I'll say in the second line, okay, I'll add the word called as modified. So we will modify this. Now what we'll do, we'll create another version. We'll say git status, it is a red, git add, git commit, -am, modified, second line. That is what is the comment I'm giving. Here we go. Now what do you say? You see that it is saying one file change, one file, one insertion, and one deletion. Really we deleted anything? No, then why it is showing one deletion? So let's go and see the difference. If I say git log, now I have 4 commits. So I'll see the difference between the third and fourth. So I'll say git diff. I'll say what is the difference between third and dot dot and fourth. Ready, steady, go. 1, 2, 3. So what it says? You see that minus and plus. So what it did? It removed the old line and it added the new line. That's why it says removed one line and added one line. That is why it says removed one line and added one line. This is clear? So this is how you will get the difference line by line, character by character, and so on. Okay, now more about the number. We have the SHA number. Now you don't have to use all the 40 characters. So if it is a small project, what you will do? You can use first 5 to 7 characters. If it is a small project, so I will go with this number. I'll say, okay, I want to use this first 5 or 7 characters. Good. So if it is a small project. Now, assuming that you have very less files, let's say 1,000 files. Let's say you have 1,000 plus files, mid-size project. Let's say 10,000 files. So use nearly 10 to 12 characters. Okay, so I'll go with the first 10 to 12 characters. I'm randomly choosing, but I will go with the first 10 to 12 characters, approximately. If you are going with the big project, which may have 1 lakh or plus files, so go for 15 to 7 characters, 17 characters. You can go with a little bit more number. You can go with a little bit more number, something like that. Now, why I am saying so go with the first 5, first 7, first 10, first 12? Let's go and see that. So basically, what I can say, if I say git log, I can say git diff. I don't have to use all the 40 characters. So I can go with the first 5 characters and then say dot dot, and I will say the another 5 characters. Dot, dot. That's all. So that is how I can use that. So that's why I say small project, you can go with the small number. But if it's a big project, go with the big numbers for the difference, because then uniqueness is available. You'll get the same thing. Clear? So this is how you will work with the small and big project. Okay. Now let's go with the more details of the log. So log has a lot of options. Log, F1 one line, and most frequently we'll use this option. Then let's say git log since. I can use the since option. Hey, show me the data or log from so and so date. So here year, month, and date. Then I'll say git log until. So show me the until some date and time value. You can say git log. You can say author. Search the information by author name or author name or whatever stuff. You can say git log. You can say grep. Grep means filter out, filter the pattern. Okay, so you can go along with these options, and or you can combine all of them. You can combine all of them. Git log, one line, and since, and then until, and then you can go with that author, and you can go something and something. You can say, hey, go for the filter, grep, and so on. So you can combine all of them together also. It is possible to combine them, all of them together. So let's go and see that. Let's go and see that action. Don't write now. First see the action, then go with that writing. Okay, now if I say git log simply, what happening? It is giving me the author information. It is giving me the date and timestamp when we have created, updated. All the details it is giving me. But I don't want all details. I want short form. So I will say git log one line. You see that now it has shifted to, so it has given the first 5 or 7 characters and the commit logs, whatever I have committed, right? So old will get bottom, then next, second line, third line, modified the second line, whatever commits we have going, we are going with that. Now I want to search with the author. Let's say example, I'll say author. Hey, go meet the Ramesh author. Do we have Ramesh author? No, because every commit is done by Sunil. So if I go with the Sunil, oh, it will show me all the things. Hey, show me the author by Sunil. Yes. You see that all the lines are available there. Right? Or I can go with a single line also. I find a line. Show me the all commits which are done by Sunil. Okay, good. Now I'll say, no, I don't want that. I want only the word, specific word. Let's say second. So I'll say grep. So which line it will show? First and third line it will show, because the word is there in the first and third line of the commit. You see that second is here and here. It will only show that two lines. 1, 2, 3. You will see that. So it is filtering out the data. It is filtering out the data. Is this clear? So this is how you will work with the logs. This is how you work with the log. So please write it down. So any question, any doubt on the online in the class? You can put those questions while people are writing. Okay. So now these are all the basic things that you need to understand while working with the. Okay. So you need to understand what is the version, commit value, what is the feature, 40 character, hexadecimal, SHA, unique, random, when to use, how much length. Small project go for 5 to 7, big project go for 15 to 17. And there are a lot of search option available in the log. You can go along with that, right? So you can go with a lot of things. So it is very powerful, very easy to work, and you can easily understand what is happening in that area. Okay. So if you're done writing, can we go further? Okay. So let's go further. Now, if I am going with my details, I'll say git log. I don't know what is happening on the third line. Let's say what is happening in the third line. I don't know that. I want to see that. So I'll say git show and the commit value. Okay, I'll say git show and the commit value. Here it is, okay, in the git show, there is a third line got added. So previously there were already two lines and the third line has been added there. So git show will zoom in to the particular commit. It is like a zoom in to the particular commit. So this is how you will go with that part. Good. Now we understand. So let's summarize what we did. So we try to understand git config, git init, git add, git commit, git status, git log, then options to the log, git show, git diff. We have seen so many options. Okay, and these are the important commands. Git is very, very important for you when you are going with the project, because in real time, this is not an optional subject. This is the base of your DevOps. This is the base of your DevOps, because every file, when you are going to create, it will be in the Git. You will not go and create a file randomly here and there. You will go in the project directory, you will have the version, you will commit the version. By that way, organization and people can track who is doing what. They exactly know who created the bugs and who created the features, right? It is easily able to identify that who is doing what. That is why they will prefer that you should go, and all your projects will always go in the Git. Okay, let's go further one step. Now, how to rename a file in my Git? So there are two methods. Method 1, which is the OS level method. You will say mv old name with the new name, and then you will say git add and blah blah blah, and then git commit, blah blah blah. Second method is a git method. Method 2 will say git mv old name new name. It's a git commit. Blah. Okay, so we will go with the second method because we go love with the git method, so we'll go with that. Ready, steady, go. Here we go. Sorry. So right, so we have two methods. Method 1 is the mv old name new name git add git commit, which is a standard way of doing. But git mv is the right method when you are working with the git. So git will start tracking, okay, this name has been changed and these and that stuff. Okay. So let's go and change the name. Now, which file we have? We have my first git file or something. Let's rename this file to resume.txt. So I'll say git mv my first file to the resume.txt. Enter. If I say git status, what it says? Renamed. That means you are renaming the file. You know 100%. Okay. Now changing this file there. Okay. This we go. Git commit of an m renamed file. Or I can just copy and paste that. Instead of keep on typing, I can just copy and paste that. It will be good for me. Okay. So it says one file change, 0 insertion, 0 deletion. Good, 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 good. So I'll say git status. Everything is clean. That means whatever the name we have at the working directory, same name is now available with the working, local repository. So I'll say git log online. You see that? I said rename this, something like that. So I'm trying to put the appropriate relevant comment there. Always do that. Don't put any random things. So you know exactly what is happening. Okay. Now in real time, we have played around only with one file. Okay. But in real time, you are going to play or work with the set of files. What is that? Set of files. That means you are working at a time 5, 10, 20, 100, 500 files. Okay. So, but the command will remain same. But you are not working with one file. You have to work with the multiple file. So you'll say git add all the multiple files. Okay, 5, 10 files are going to the staging, 5 file going to the local repository. And when you give the commit, you will give the commit to the set of files. You're not giving the commit to the single files, but you are giving commit to the set of files. So make sure that whenever you put a commit, you have relevant files going up, or the group of files with the relevant information should go up. That way you can say that I have modified this section, I have modified this with file or something like that. Okay. Good. Now today we will see the last thing and then we will stop here. So how to delete a file from the Git permanently. So how we want to do that. So how to delete a file, how to delete a file from Git permanently. So method 1, operating system level, rm file name. Then you will say git add, blah, 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 git commit. But if you go to the git method, you will say git rm and the file name, git commit. What else? Okay, so how to delete a file? You will go with the rm command. So that is the git rm. RM means remove the file permanently. So the file will go away permanently. It will remove the file. Means there is no reference available to that file. That is what we are saying. So Git will never remove the file. It will just remove the reference. It will always there in somewhere in the .git folder, somewhere. We don't know where is that. But the reference will go away. You cannot now bring it back unless and until you know the exact reference number. But that is not our scope of this course. Okay. So I'll say git, ls-l. So that resume.txt. We will go and remove the resume.txt. I'll say git rm text. I'll say git status. What it says. Deleted the file and commit it. I'll say git commit -m and removed resume.txt. And that file has gone, really gone. So ls-l -la, nothing is there, but the commit will always be happen. Git log online. So I know who did what. So suppose you want to recover the file from here. Now you deleted by mistake. Oh my God, something has happened. So what you can do? You can say that git show, and what is the file? Here is what is the file. How many lines were there? 3 lines. So I'll copy that file. I'll say resume new file, resume the text, and I'll copy and paste that lines. I'll remove that minus sign, and then I'll say again git add resume, and I'll say git commit -m recovered. So you got it. But this resume.txt is a brand new resume.txt. So I'll say git one line. How we recovered, we know that. So we say git show, copy whatever the deleted thing, put it again in the file, commit, new commit, and done. Right? So sometimes mistakes do happen. We do something. So how to recover, we should also know that. Okay? So this is all for the today. So let's recap what we did. And I will request that please practice this. So I'll say git init, git config. So first we go with the config, not init. So sequence is important. Git config. Okay, git add, git commit, git status, git log, git show, git diff, git rm, and the git mv. Right? So my request now, please practice this, sit in the lab and practice all this command again and again and try to understand what is happening. Right? Go with this because this is your bread and butter. Don't put this subject as optional. I will take it. This is not a college that you will put some section as optional. Whatever we are going is all mandatory and all is the must. Right? So you have to learn all those things because in real time you are going to use that. This clear? Any other questions, any other doubts from the class or from the online? Yes, please. Okay, so your question is how we can, all these things, whatever is in my local machine, how I can get to the server, right? We will definitely come to that section in our previous sections, right? In our previous training sessions, we will also learn that. Otherwise, Git is not complete. Okay, so definitely we'll see that. We'll see that, right? We don't want to do hurry-burry. Why? Because unless and the basics are clear, we should not go that level, right? So first we'll clear the basics. And once we clear the basics, then we'll see how to connect with the remote, how to collaborate with 100 users and so on. Definitely, because that is our aim, that in real time, how it works. And what is the real time we are going? Definitely we are going to see that, right? So all these commands are real-time command. There is nothing optional here. Please go and practice. Okay, some question from online looks like, when login after some time, it will show the previous version. when you type the command git log. So Sumant, I am not clear about your question that when login after some time, it will show the previous version when you type the git log. Okay. So probably you are saying that, can I see the history logs if I log in next time? Of course, the history will be always there. So if you log out and after come back after 10 days, 100 days also, definitely it will show all the information. Now, today we have seen this information on the screen. So today we are seeing this information. Tomorrow also we come back, we should see the exact same thing because we are not disturbing anything. Okay, so logs will be available till 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, no problem. How long you want to keep the logs? You can keep the logs, no problem. So those are available forever. Those are available forever. So you don't have to worry about that. Git has a mechanism, it will keep on saying that, hey, keep that. Something like that. Okay. So after 10 years also you come back, you will see the same information there because it will be available. It is not going to lapse with respect to time. Unless until you say, no, I don't want that logs or something. Okay. Okay, so today we will stop here. So let's recap. We try to install the Git, we try to configure the Git, and we try to get the basics hands-on on the Git. Now there are the 3 levels we are going to work. First is this basics level. Tomorrow we will see some more advanced level, that how to work with that. And then day after tomorrow, or means in the next session, we will see still more advanced level, that how to collaborate with multiple users and how to use the Git. We'll also see how to set up a Git server. Okay, we will see all those things in our upcoming sessions. So I'll say, don't miss the sessions because every session is very important. If you miss one session, you will miss the 4-5 sessions next on because you will not able to understand what is happening, right? So my request is, please do not miss any sessions. So that's all I have to say. So we will stop here, and the members who joined today, so I will request them to please wait. We will talk something more on the DevOps, and then we will go further from that. So the members who are already joined, please sit in the lab and practice the Git. But the members who are new, we will definitely go with the demo, small demo sessions with all the understandings of the Git, and we can go with that. So thanks for all. Any new member from online who joined, or all members are there? Okay, then if no members newly joined from online, we will stop here and we'll see tomorrow with the more details. Thank you.